Hey everybody, welcome back to the DANCNG SOBR podcast. And this week we're actually not at Espacio. I recorded this on a different date, but we did a remote this week, and I'm actually at an artist's house. But I want to thank still Espacio for allowing us to do the stuff that we do at their store. So thank you, Espacio1839. Don't forget to visit Espacio1839.com to see if there's anything you'd like to shop for, or come and visit them in person at 1839 East 1st Street in Boyle Heights, right down the street from the Mariachi Plaza. I also want to remind you that this podcast is listener supported. So if there's anything you can do, don't forget to send something to at DANCNG SOBR. That's at DANCNG SOBR, just like we spell the podcast name. We really appreciate you. And this week, our guest is artist Albert Reyes. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the DANCNG SOBR podcast. And this week we are in the city of El Sereno, inside of a garage that has been decorated by the artist, local legend, el señor Albert Reyes.
How's it going?
What's up, bro?
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, and thanks for coming out here.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here. And ever since I met you and came out here, I knew that when we got to your episode, it would be here. It would be in your garage. And because, I just love this fucking aesthetic here.
Oh, thank you.
We'll definitely get into all of your artwork and all that stuff. But, first of all, just thank you again for welcoming us and welcoming all the viewers to, be a part of
Definitely. Welcome.
this. I mean, we will also be talking about how you invite people in your home to see your haunted house and all that good stuff. But, like we do here, we like to start with, the origin story. So tell us a little bit about, where you were born and what little Al was doing.
Okay. So I was born in Panorama City, like out there in the valley. And my parents moved here to this neighborhood when I was born. So basically I grew up here, in El Sereno as a young baby child or whatever. baby child. As a young baby child, I grew up on the streets of El Sereno. So I grew up here and, sorry, just getting distracted because the cat's coming in here.
That's fine.
But
if the cat comes in, don't worry about it. Just keep going, yeah. So I grew up here.
Okay. So I grew up here and, you know what? Do you mind if we stop and I shut the thing?
Yeah, okay.
The cat will pee on my artwork.
Oh, okay. I'm going to leave that in there.
So, so I grew up here as a baby child or whatever you call it. What do you call it when you're growing up?
Child.
Okay, a child. Yeah, you go from baby to what? Child?
Child, yeah. Then adolescence.
Or kid.
And
then teenager.
Yeah. I mean, they're all used, differently and but yeah, you were all of those. At one point, you were all of those. Yeah. So, but how old were you when you moved to El Sereno?
Yeah, so I was like a baby. So I was born in that hospital, but then we came here. Okay. Because this place where I live now, my dad got this house on because he was drafted to Vietnam. Okay. So I guess they had like a special thing so that it could help people get homes. Yeah. So that's why we moved here.
Oh, that's cool. And what year was that? You were born in 71 from the same year?
71, yes. Yeah. Cheers to that.
Yeah, salud.
Salud to the old guys. We're getting old.
Mm-hmm. The year of the fucking rat or the pig, one of those two. I know it's one of the ones that it's not pretty to say.
I'll take them both.
Yeah.
Rat pig.
Yeah. So, you're born in what hospital around here? Or?
I was born in Panorama City. Oh, Panorama I'm not sure what the hospital was.
Yeah, and then came over here, Yeah. So you grew up around here in the 70s and, Yeah. So those were like fun times. You still have memories of that?
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's a lot different than the way kids are raised now, We had more freedom. Yeah. We would sneak out the windows. I don't know if a lot of people know this area, but there's a lot of hills around here. Yeah. And they weren't developed. So there wasn't any housing. So just like a lot of open space. Yes. So we would go up there and
the whole idea of empty lots was fucking fun back then. There was just so many empty lots that were, sometimes you knew the owners of them and they were cool, but you could hang out in the lot and just have your little clubhouses.
Totally.
And whatever,
Yeah, we were spoiled here. Like up the street, there's a park now, but before that was a park. I would say in the late 70s, early 80s, there used to be houses up there, and they were all getting torn down. So it was like maybe 12 houses, and they're all abandoned. So like as kids in this neighborhood, we each had like our own house to like play in. And we would like have like rock fights and, you know, like break all the windows and just do like chaos up there, you know, until they tore down those houses. That was really sad. And then they built a park.
Yeah, it was crazy back in those days how much we were allowed to just like, you know, you came home from school, you did your homework if you did it. Yeah. And then it was like, go outside. Because we lived so many in my house, we lived so many in a fucking little 1-bedroom apartment that our parents didn't want us inside the house. It was like, go outside and play. And you would literally just go outside and play until it got dark. Like like Warren G said, till the lights came on, you know, and sometimes even later than that. And yeah, we were just out in the street all the time. And there was so many people out in the street every night. We were just...
Yeah, so it was like, especially in the summertime, it seemed like people were just out in the streets.
These houses football games at night on the street, you know, it's just like...
We used to play like military soldiers and stuff, so we'd all dress in camouflage and have like... Remember they used to sell like fake M16s?
No
like, they don't make those now, but they used to have like fake guns. They looked real, you know, but they were like plastic guns.
Oh, shit. I remember the first time one of our friends got one of the first paintballs guns that came out.
We did that too.
So we had one paintball gun, and there was like 10 of us. So the game would be like, who would get to, you know, shoot the paintball, and then everybody else run.
Oh man,
yeah, that was fun. But you know, cops and robbers and all that, and all that. As we grew up and we got a little crazier, you know.
Totally.
But yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of mischievous kids over here in this neighborhood. We would go, up into the hills, and we would light the hills on fire, like in the summertime. And then when the fire department would come, then we would like try to climb on the fire truck and stuff.
That's crazy.
We were like the kids who were like messing with the fire trucks, but also like causing them to come out here, you know?
We did a lot of Christmas tree burning back then. I remember that was a big thing. But we would make ramps and jump over like the burning Christmas trees with our bikes.
Oh yeah,
like in Napoleon Dynamite style, you know.
Or did you ever get like a bunch of like your plastic toys and then burn them and then watch them drip like it drops?
I've seen that, but I didn't do that like actively. But I've seen that happen where like just the blobs of like.
Yeah, we were really into that for some reason.
That's some scary ass. And then we would if you touch that, you're fucked.
Oh yeah, we threw firecrackers into that, and then we all got like splattered.
Oh my god!
With that stuff, and some kids got like scarred really bad. You know, depending on how close you were to it, it would just like land on. Like one kid got it on his face and stuff.
Yeah, that's fucking melting plastic. It'll do some damage.
Yeah, we did a lot of dumb things.
Oh my god, yeah, we did a lot of dumb things too. It was a lot of fun though, and we got hurt. And you know, and then we got up again and whatever. But that's just what we did back then, and we got in trouble. But so tell me a little bit how being young and all that. You went to school around here, right?
Yeah, I went to El Sereno Elementary, and then just maybe like 1 year at El Sereno Junior High, because my mom got remarried, and then I moved to the Bay Area.
Okay.
To San Mateo.
No way. I have a strong connection with San Mateo County.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have family that lived up in East Palo Alto.
Okay,
and,
nice.
And now they still live over there, but now they're in Atherton, so, you know.
Okay. Whoa, they're doing good.
Yeah, they're doing okay. They're still renting.
That's like the Beverly Hills of the Bay Area.
Yeah, they're still renting, and they're way off to the side, but it's a beautiful house. It's really nice. And anyways, they're doing nice. But yeah, I have a strong connection to that whole area up there. I loved it. I used to always say from EPA to East LA, you know.
Oh, nice.
East Palo Alto to East LA. So, yeah, that's a cool fucking thing that you got to witness, like the Northern California side of things too. It's a whole different vibe.
Different vibe, yeah.
How old were you when you moved up there?
I was a teenager. So it was a good time. I was like maybe 14 or 15.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't know if this is real, but I think that kids up there, even at a young age, you learn a lot more about culture. I don't know, because like over here when I was young, like I didn't learn things in like about art or novels or writers or anything. I
didn't know any of that.
Yeah, but my cousins that grew up there, they were a lot more like they were in East Palo Alto, but they were surrounded by Palo Alto, so they learned a lot more things out that were like cultural things to me. I don't know. I learned all the things that I learned like after like I was 23, 24, 25. I self-taught myself like everything about, I mean, at least that's the way I see it. I'm not sure, but
yeah.
But yeah, so it must, because over here in East LA, like we didn't really.
We're trying to survive over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like there used to be checkpoints.
Yeah, we were burning shit and we were fucking breaking windows and running around. So I imagine that gave you some kind of
Yeah. So when I moved up to to the Bay Area, you know, San Mateo, then we used to go to we called it the city, San Francisco, and that's the first time I experienced like an art museum, you know, and so I went to like the Museum of Modern Art, San Francisco, and that's when it used to be.
It's a FOMOMA.
Yeah, but it used to be like a small building, like near the Opera House, near City Hall.
Okay.
So it was like a funky building, and I was like, oh wow, like what is this art stuff, you know? Because I always like drawing and stuff, but I would draw like cars, like hot rods and guns and like military stuff, or just, you know, weird things, monsters.
You were also in a different time of San Francisco. Like, I think downtown was a lot more, I don't even know how to call it, but it had so much more mystery to me back then. Like, when I'd go up there back in the days, and I mean, I went like in the 90s a lot, early 90s, there was a lot more like, I don't know, just mysteriousness to every little left turn and right turn. You're just like, what's going on around here? What's going on around there?
Totally. And it felt like, you know, compared to like what downtown LA was back then compared to like what San Francisco was, I just feel like it was something more like crowded, more things going on, more dense.
Yeah, our downtown had nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing going on.
Yeah, there
a lot
was
of empty lots.
Absolutely nothing at night. 5 p.m., people left LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's interesting seeing a city that's totally different, you know, but not too far, not really that far, you know, 5 hours away, you know, but a different world.
Yeah.
And so when my mom got remarried, I think part of the thing was because I have a brother, and it was the gangs were really bad at that time right here in El Sereno and stuff like that. So I was at the point where I was going to join it, you know, about to get joined. Or
this is the 90s, right? I imagine. Or late 80s?
Late 80s.
Late 80s? Okay.
Yeah. Late 80s, mid 80s, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with time, so we're going to go back.
Yeah, you're in middle school, so it's mid 80s.
Yeah.
Damn that.
So
sorry about the cricket, everybody, but we can't stop it.
Well, it's good luck.
Okay,
that's good luck, cricket, right?
Yeah.
Cricket in the garage. It's happened a lot. And but yeah. So
you're up there in middle school, and when did you start to like you know, pick up like drawing and sketching and all that?
So as a kid, I used to draw. I used to really be a big fan of. I used to go down to the little grocery store down here and buy a little Mad magazine. Mm-hmm. I really liked the Mad magazines and how that page in the back would fold and create you know, and then all the different art. And I was like, I'm dyslexic, so I couldn't read until maybe I didn't teach myself how to read until like in my 30s.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I couldn't read or anything, so I just look at the pictures though, you know, and I thought it was one artist with a bunch of different styles.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this guy is really good. He does all these different styles, you know, but much later, you know, I learned like, these are like a bunch of artists coming together to make this magazine.
Yeah.
So I would say like Mad magazine was a big influence on my art. And also, is it Carlos Santana?
Yeah.
You ever see his album cover? There's one album cover where it's like the lion, and there's all these like hidden images in it, like the teeth are like women's legs.
It's like a pen and ink drawing.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So my dad had that, and my dad had left that here. My dad separated from my mom when I was a kid, but my dad had left his records here, and I had that record, and I just would stare at that thing for like, it would just trip me out. Like I was on a trip, like a drug. I wasn't on drugs, but I was like, that something about that illustration, it really got to me.
Let's go back a little bit to dyslexia. I'm just really interested in like what kind of effect that had on you, like growing up, and you know, like not being able to read. I'm wondering like. Yeah,
like not being able to read or spell, you know, and it was difficult because like I remember when I moved. Okay, so I'm like half Mexican and half German. Mm-hmm. My mom is like. Her ancestry is from Germany. She's American. Like she's not like a German person. She's like American, but her ancestors are from Germany. She's like blonde.
So she's like third generation American.
Yeah, she's like blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, you know. And then my dad is Mexican, and so when I was down here, I didn't really feel like I fit in. You know, I'll get into fights like because I was like a white boy or whatever. You know, so I felt like I didn't fit in. And then when I moved to the Bay Area, then all of a sudden I was Mexican, you know, because I was Reyes, you know what I mean? but like when I was down here, I had a hard time fitting in, you know, because by the way I looked. But when I went up there, then all of a sudden now I didn't fit in up there either, you know. So I was like, now I'm fighting up there because I'm Mexican. I was fighting down here because I was white or whatever, you know what I mean? So so that really like tripped me out. So I was always like getting kicked out of schools and stuff like that. I went to a bunch of different schools. I was in like magnet schools and Christian schools and Catholic school. Any school they would take me, you know. My mom would put me in there. And then so when I went to the Bay Area, I went to San Mateo Hillsdale High School, and they put me in special ed because
by the Hillsdale Mall.
Yeah, dude, you know what's up. Yeah, the Hillsdale Mall.
My uncle used to work at the Hillsdale Inn.
Okay, really?
The hotel by the freeway that had that room up on.
Oh yeah, that special room. That is badass. Damn, yeah, we used to drive by that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not there anymore, unfortunately.
No, they dropped that thing down. I think the whole hotel's gone.
I think someone got drunk and like fell down the stairs or something.
I have no idea.
I don't know. But yeah, that place was cool. It's like a tower with one special room up there, the honeymoon suite or whatever. Yeah. That's awesome. That's cool. That's cool that you know about this stuff.
You were going to all these Catholic schools and
different schools. And so when I went up there, I was in special ed, and then when like they didn't have like driver's ed special ed, so they put me in like the regular driver's ed class, and then like I had problems reading, you know, so the teacher was like going down the line, desk to desk, like, okay, now you read. Okay, you read something from the book, and then they read, and then they got to me, right? And then I was just like, no, I'll pass. Because I didn't want to embarrass myself, you know? Like, I would be, like, stumbling through it, you know? And it would make me feel like, shit, you know? And I would just still, like, feel my heart beating, you know? I could barely hear people around me and just trip out, right? Because everyone's doing this thing, and why can't you do it, you know? Yeah. So I told the teacher, I go, I'm not going to read. Let the next guy go. And he's like, no, you got to do it. And I just got up and I just left. I just left the class, left the school.
Wow.
So I would just do stuff like that. Whenever I was put in like a situation where I was like forced to read or something, then I would normally just walk away.
But you still made it through high school?
I made it because I was in special ed. In special ed at that school, like they didn't even care. Like we used to, I'm going to go skating. Hillsdale Mall, go skating.
So they kind of just became like somebody who took care of you during the day.
Yeah, they didn't really care. Like, I could go. I would never get detention, no matter what I did. You know, like it was kind of like a special privilege pass in a way. Yeah. And but it was cool because I got to take like as many art classes because they're like, oh, that's one thing he likes to do. So I would take like 2 art classes. So people were leaving the art class and they'll be like, oh, where are you going? Aren't you going to the next class? And I'd be like, this is my next class. And they're like, what? You know, so it's like really confusing for other people.
No way.
Yeah. And then the special ed class was like separate from the school, like behind the metal shop in this little closet room, you know, smaller than this with like 6 kids. Wow. You know, like this one guy, it was kind of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in a weird way. It was like this one guy who's really, really big and used to put people in a chokehold and choke you out. But luckily he liked me, so he never did that to me. Wow. And then there was another guy, and he was this really big guy, and it was like, he must have missed like many years. Like they must have held him back because he seemed much older than everybody. But he had a problem where he couldn't control his urine. So he would urinate on himself. But he was really nice and really friendly. He would like try to give everyone a hug. No. Like every time he saw you, he would give you a hug. And he's a big guy. You're like, what are you going to do? You know? But he smelled like urine all the time. Yeah. And, it was just people that had, like my problem was with reading and also taking direction or listening or respecting adults.
Authority, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was my problem. So that's why I was in there. There's another guy in there because all he would do was fight. He was like the best fighter, you know? Glad that guy was my friend, you know what I mean? He always had like he always had cast on his hands because he'd like break his hands like from beating up people. And so it was like a molly little crew of people, you know? And we didn't really hang out other than that class, you know? Because we were like all forced to be in it. It felt like a prison, you know?
Wow.
So, and then when we would see other people.
That was like your whole like middle school through high school in that.
At that, yeah.
That little process you were doing every day.
Yeah, the 4 years of high school, I guess, yeah.
Wow.
And I think that when I transferred from the high school here, they didn't count a year. So I had to do 4 more over there.
Year up there. Wow. I want to go back into the whole like having 2 art classes, that's fucking badass.
That was fun, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about how that, what kind of influence did that have on you? Or, do you remember the teachers? And
yeah, that actually made me feel a little bit normal, you know, because then people would talk to me because, oh, he's drawing, you know. So that was the one class where I felt like I fit in and I was a normal person, you know. I felt like, oh, okay, like this is like I guess they now call it a lane, right?
Yeah. Oh, you found your lane, yeah.
I would try to be hip with the lingo, you know. Yeah. But so it was cool that I got to talk to other kids. You know, like when I'm in that special ed class, I'm just trying to survive whatever situation is, you know.
Yeah.
And I think when you put people in that situation where you do that to them and make them feel different, then we also acted different, you know. Like when we had a substitute teacher, or like we would all get together and we're like, let's see how long they'll last. We would literally dance on their desk. You know what I mean? We'll kick their food out of their hand. You know, like we would cuss at them.
God, dude.
You know, literally, that dude would try to get her in a chokehold if it was, you know, the teacher or a guy get the teacher, that substitute teacher in a chokehold, and the teacher would leave, dude. We would make the substitute teachers leave. And then there goes, okay, just go to the field and play all day. Yeah. Like, you know, like we were out of control. But they let us do it too, you know?
Yeah, because they have to keep you there because that's how the schools make money.
Yeah, so it was crazy. You know, it'd be fun to make like a little sketch of that or something.
Yeah,
you know?
That'd be a cool little thing.
It was wild.
Yeah, that's definitely at least a short story, you know? I mean, I we were talking before this podcast started how you're also into like, you know, short films and writing certain things. So that, yeah, that's definitely something there.
Yeah, and it's always like, I like to take things that happened to me that were bad and then put them through my art, and then I kind of come out the other end, you know, almost like I don't really go to like psychologists or anything like that, but I just kind of like, to me, that's art is healing in that way, you know?
Yeah.
Like it kind of helps you when you make artwork.
So let's go back then still to those art classes and
sorry, I keep
no, that's okay.
Getting away from there.
That's what the podcast is for. So feel free to
cool, man.
Feel free to digress anytime.
Okay.
I just want to know what kind of things you were drawing then when you were young and
okay, so when I took those 2 art classes, my teacher was Mr. Haynes. That was his name, and he was a really cool teacher. He was really funny, and he kind of let me do what I wanted. Like one time, I started drawing on the table with the pencil because you know, like those old desks, how smooth they are. It's like drawing on a banana with a pen. You know, it's like super smooth. So I started drawing, and it was coming out good. You know, so I just kept drawing, and then I'm in there for 2 classes, so you know, I got a lot of work done. And eventually I had a space as big as this table covered, you know, and he just let me do it, you know. I wasn't doing the assignment. Other kids were getting up out of their class and like out of their seat and coming and looking at it, you know, like, oh, what is it? That's just cool. And he's like, okay, and so the day ended, the 2 classes, it took me to do this. And then he's like, okay, now you got to clean it. And then I was like, cool. Like I respected him because like he respected me, you know. Yeah. So then I cleaned it and it was cool. Like he just let me do it. And he had like he was like really encouraging, and I think he was like a very strict, like he would make us draw every day in our sketchbook. It was like, and he would make us work from magazines. So he had like all these like National Geographics, fashion, different magazines, you know, and we would have to find a picture in there and then try to duplicate it, you know? And so that's kind of, I still do that now. I look at pictures from his teachings, you know, I look at pictures or I look at Instagram and I, you know, to do some of these faces that I do. So I always use like source material. Nothing really comes like from my imagination. It's always like source material, and then I use my imagination to tweak it or whatever, you know. To
give it your flavor, yeah.
Yeah.
What
So shout out to Mr. Haynes.
What's up, Mr. Haynes? I imagine that you weren't doing this yet when you were at that age. So were you drawing? I guess you were saying like whatever out of a magazine, were you drawing like realistic, or were you?
Yeah. I'll show you later some stuff. But it was more realistic, you know. And so it was like more realistic, and he taught like shadowing techniques, and he would show us films in his class, and he showed us a film about, are you familiar with MC Escher? Yeah. That dude? So like, what is that thing? Metamorphosis? Yeah. Oh man, that blew my mind, man. And like his drawing ability, you know, it's just like, and like drawing the hands coming out of the paper, and then the birds changing into fish, and then
all the math behind everything.
Oh yeah.
Like,
so
how do you, I mean, you had to have calculations for all this stuff, right? You can't just draw it.
Yes.
Or could you?
Yeah, I don't know. But I was really influenced by that. So I was like biting that style or trying to copy that style. mixing it with
it's kind of like a challenge at that age. You're like, oh, that's a challenge. Let me attempt that to see.
Huge challenge, yeah.
To see like, so you're challenging yourself to do something.
Totally.
Draw a little different.
And I feel like when you're younger too, it's easier to do better work maybe, because you're just open. You have the energy is strong. You know, you have that young, vibrant energy that's fearless and that won't, you know, there's no fear of like, is anyone going to like this or is this a mistake?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All those things happen to you as you go through life, you know, little chips, you know, they chip at your inner child, you know, to try to kill it. But when you're actually a child, you know, or a young person. So, you know, I think I was doing some really good work back then. Yeah. Or a baby child, kid, teen, whatever you want to call it. Baby child, teen, kid.
Yeah. I just want to imagine you back then drawing and you know, sitting on those tables and it's just fucking awesome to picture that room and like the way that you describe it, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, the special ed. That wasn't the art class. That was the special ed room.
Okay, so
the art class was just
was
everyone
with all the other kids.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Got it.
The special ed class was
that's where that would happen.
Nest.
Yeah. Damn. How many hours a day did you spend in there?
Well, I had those 2 art classes. I think I had a drama class and 2 art classes, and then the rest of the time in there.
Yeah. What kind of stuff did you do in drama class?
In drama class, I did like improv. So the teacher would say like, "Hey, sit still, and everyone pretend that you're listening to music." And then they would have some other kids who would judge you. You know, they're like, and then the teacher would say, "Okay, which one's doing a bad job?" And you know, this person, or okay, which one you think is feeling it? And you know, I would get some people. They would say that I was doing a terrible job, and some people would say, "Oh, I think Albert's doing a good job." Like you know, so that made me happy. You know, so. But I couldn't learn any lines, so I couldn't be in any plays or anything, you know, because I couldn't read it. And I couldn't memorize. You can't memorize what you can't read, you know. It would have been better if someone would have told me. Then I could have just, hey, just tell me the line, then I could just go and do it, you know. But that wasn't, they weren't that evolved yet or whatever.
What a trip. I mean, I'm just wondering, like, it just seems far from, for me to understand, like, how it would be without being able to read. So yeah, it's gotta be something that built.
I'm okay now. I'm okay now.
I understand that, but I'm saying like what I'm trying to. I know that you're okay, and I know that you read now, and like you're sharing books with me. So I understand that. But I'm trying to like imagine or see what are the things, because you didn't read, what are the other things that developed? You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, it probably helped me with my art because, you know, all my focus, all my attention went into that, you know. I wasn't really into playing sports back then. So I was even in a special PE class where all I could do was like, that one game where it's like you hit the little birdie.
Batman?
Yeah. That was my PE for 4 years, Badman.
Wow. See, that's another layer. Like, you know, I mean, these are layers of like things that, you know, that built you.
That's and then my stepdad, you know, there's a lot of layers.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it.
It was a lot of nothing was mine. Cause like my mom, the guy who my mom remarried, I'm not going to say his name cause I don't want to cause him any more problems, but, you know, he was just like, he just wanted our mom, you know, like pushed us to the side, never talked to us, never said anything. When I was able to get a job like at a movie theater, I would have to pay rent, you know, pay him rent. And he was, you know, well off, you know, he had money and stuff like that. But he was just like cold, like a jerk, you know, like don't eat my food, you know, like. Wow. But then sometimes he'd get drunk. When he get drunk, then he'd be nice. He'll be like, oh, I'll barbecue you a steak, you know. I'm like, oh, really? Wow. But it really wasn't a father figure, you know. It was more like a dude who wants to get with your dad. I mean, wait.
Mom.
Well, my mom was my dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I feel you.
Yeah, because my dad took off when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So when my dad left, you know, I was just I'm jumping back.
That's cool. Yeah.
So like my dad left when I was a kid, like maybe like I was like 5 or something, or maybe even younger. So my dad had a messed up life. He got drafted to Vietnam, so you know what goes on there, right? Yeah. And so that fucked him up. And then he came back here and he joined the Mongols. He was in a motorcycle outlaw gang. And the Mongols is like for, at that time it was like those guys wanted to be in the Hells Angels, but the Hells Angels is hella racist. So they don't let, you know, the Mexicans become Hell's Angels. So the Mexican dude says, let's make our own shit, Mongols, you know. So that fucked him up, you know. Yeah. And so he's just like,
is your dad still around now?
Through a lot of stuff, yeah. And my parents got back together after 30 years of being apart.
Oh shit.
That's a good story.
Okay.
So they were separated for like 30 years. My dad was married to someone else. My mom was married to my stepdad. And then I had an art show, and my mom was making these like clothes out of ties. So she'd gather all these old ties from thrift stores, and she'd make like a skirt or a vest out of old ties. So I put some of her clothes in there. I put some of my grandmother's drawings, my dad's mom's drawings in there. She does these like drawings of dolls and stuff. It's kind of creepy, but cool too. I put that stuff in there. And then my dad did a carving. He carved a nun out of wood, but it kind of looked like George Bush. So it was a really cool piece. It was like,
That's random as hell.
Yeah, that's random. It looked just like George Bush on accident.
Yeah.
But with a nun on a piece of wood. So I put that. Funny. I put that in the show, and then my parents, they secretly got together at that show.
Oh shit!
And they got back together.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like coming back into my life, you know, and told me he's sorry and all that stuff. Yeah. And
how old were you at that time?
39. Okay. 38.
Yeah.
And then that was weird too, because there was a lot of conflict, because then my dad and my mom, they came back here. Because, they lived in different places, but when they got together, they had nowhere to go, so they came here. And then that was crazy. Because then my dad was like checking me and stuff with his shoulder, like when I walked by him.
Yeah.
And we actually got into like a physical thing.
Wow.
And I was gonna fucking talk about this shit. Like, this probably happens to other people, so other people can relate. Yeah. But like, he started like checking me and stuff, and then I was like, "What the hell, dude?" And then like we had a physical. He put me like a chokehold, and I went out. And then when I came through, then I got back at him. Yeah. Because he's like, "You're not gonna do anything, What are you gonna do?" Yeah. And then I was like, "I am gonna do something." You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that is like for a lot of males, or maybe when you fight your dad, it's a passive, like you become a man or something. But because he wasn't around, they didn't get to do that earlier. So now it happened later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're already a full grown man.
Yeah. And then he came back. And then so one day after the fight and everything, like it was very awkward and stuff. And then we were like watching a nature show, right? And it was about the wolves. And it showed how one wolf, how it left. And then it tried to come back and it got whipped. And then my dad goes, "Oh, that's kind of like what happened to me."
Wow.
It was like, whoa, it was a trip, like comparing us to wolves. But it was like that, though,
Yeah. That's a trip.
Yeah. It's also like the perception of time, too. Like when you think about time and the things in your life that happen, we're like all in our own, feel like our own timeline. Yeah. So for him, it was like, he met my mom. He had me. Then he met some other girl. And then he married her. And then he had a divorce. And then he met another girl, whatever. But I think the time for him was more closer together. And for me, it was like far apart. Like all that time he was gone, So I think his perspective, because when he came back, he's like, "Well, I'm the man in the house, and this is my house. And, I fought for this. And now, I'm going to teach you. Like, oh, dude, that's like, I already learned a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm already a man. It's like, you can't teach me now. It's too late."
Speaking of the timeline thing is like, it's like, I think of it like the same way that like we all like have a perception of our reality. Like,
yes, exactly.
What is reality is whatever you see reality as. What I see reality as is my reality. But sometimes realities do clash, and
it's not good when reality.
Yeah, it's not always. I mean, it's not always. It can be good. Sometimes beautiful things come out of it, and even what they say, like steel sharpens steel, or all that.
Yeah.
But it is completely, you could be living your life like seeing things a certain specific way, but that doesn't mean that everybody else, sees exactly what you're living through or seeing, But anyway.
Exactly.
Let's go back a little bit into
some positive stuff, huh?
No, I mean it's not even that. I like the real stories, I mean, we're here to share and talk, and I appreciate you being like honest and like sharing stuff that you don't normally go around, talking about. I appreciate that. But just to keep moving forward, let's get to like when you started to see your artwork and realize that you can show. Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so I was always doing my artwork, and then
let's talk about like, because you were also tagging, right? Like, were you a young tagger, or did that develop?
That's when I was in San Francisco. That was probably like the late 90s. Yeah. 97, 98, 99. I saw the artwork of Barry McGee. I saw his tags, and it was just like something like spoke to me. It was like that's my music, you know, like I like that. I like that a lot, you know. And now I sound like a Dumber and Dumber. I like it a lot.
It's graffiti, but it's very like, I don't know. I mean, all graffiti is thought out, but it's I guess it has more of an art. No, you can't say.
Well, his street graffiti, I saw that first, right? Yeah. And then I went to a museum, Yerba Buena, and I saw his art. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Oh, he lives in both worlds, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I put it together, you know, and I was like, oh, that's freaking cool, you know? Yeah. And at the time, I had a girlfriend up there in the Bay Area, and she was going to San Francisco State. And I was always doing art, and she encouraged me to go to art school. Because I was just working jobs and like renting a room in a house, you know? I wasn't really doing art. I was messing around with graffiti then. I was writing my name Albert, and I wrote it. It was terrible. I had like these like rings at the end of like so the A is like this, and then the end is like these loops. Swirls, yeah. It's like Tim Burton-ish. It just Tim Burton in like in the worst way though. Tim Burton. There is a worse way. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like, and then I met some real graffiti artists. Halloween in you. So. Yeah, I met some real graffiti artists, and they're like, you gotta like don't write your name, and don't write it like that. You're taking too long, and you know you need to pick a name. And then so then I was thinking about a name. What should I do? And then I thought of the word give, and I thought of like remember one time my stepmom told me that my dad was really giving, like he'd give his shirt off his back to someone, but she felt that he'd give to the wrong people, you know? He wouldn't give to his kids, but he'll give to like a stranger, you know what I mean? Got it, yeah. So it really made me think about that word a lot, give. And then I thought of it like, also at that time, I was going through a lot. Like sometimes I wanted to give up on myself, you know? Like, so I wanted to give up on myself. So I thought, well, that word is like, it can mean like a lot of things, you know. It can mean like give in, give up, or it can mean like never give in, never give up, give of yourself. It's I like the G in the beginning and the E at the end. You know, you can do variations like as far as like if you're doing graffiti, you can do
good tagging letters, yeah.
Yeah, and it's short, so you can do it fast, like how those guys were trying to teach me, you know. So those some graffiti writers in San Francisco, I hung out with them for a little bit, and they taught me, and then I started writing give.
That's dope.
Basically, I think it's like a positive word.
Did you get up a lot? Did you write a lot? Were you?
I wrote a lot, but mostly not too many. I didn't really. I mostly did tags. Yeah. More of a tagger than a full on painter. Yeah. I mean, I did a couple, but I never did like anything like a piece. I would never call anything a piece. You know, most I ever used was like a white spray paint can or a black spray paint can. You know, I never really did like colors or anything like that. Yeah. I mean, I did it big, but I didn't do it a lot. But tagging, I was everywhere. And stickers, I was putting them everywhere. Because I worked for a Bay Area title service. So I had a Jeep at the time, and I would drive my little Jeep around all over San Francisco and deliver titles to places. I don't even know what titles are. I don't even know what I was doing, to be honest. But it has to do with real estate.
Okay, yeah, it's the ownership papers.
Yeah. I didn't care. You know, I didn't care about what I was doing. I was like a messenger, like a bike messenger, but in a car. Got it. Delivering packages. So I was delivering these titles, working with Bay Area title companies. And so everywhere I went all over the city, I saw this guy Pez everywhere. And I was like, okay, so I need to put it on stickers. And then I would battle with people, you know, you'd put your stickers, they put their stickers over you.
On top of it?
Yeah. That was going on a lot.
That's crazy.
But so
I kind of respect people all the time. That's
you
fun.
do?
I can't find myself putting like a sticker on top of somebody else's.
Yeah. Well, I think I didn't do it until it happened to me. Yeah. And then I noticed it's like the same guy, so.
Oh, then that makes sense.
So then I was like, okay. Like that's his area though, you know?
You drew.
I guess I was infiltrating his area.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
That's cool. So when did all this like turn into
Oh, so
like showing and stuff.
Okay, so
did you go to art school or?
Yes. Okay. So that ex-girlfriend that I was talking about who went to San Francisco State, she encouraged me to go to art school.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I hated school. You know what I mean? I was in special ed, had all those problems, kicked out of schools, and
she's like, "This is art school, bro."
Yeah, and then I was like, oh yeah, art classes.
Yeah.
So then I was.
That's right.
I had fun. That's where I had fun. Yeah. So I decided to do it. So I went up there. And actually in high school, I had went up there before, and I asked, like, do you think I can go here when I was in high school? And they're like, oh, yeah, you need to work on your portfolio and stuff. And I never really worked on a portfolio, but I made, like, a lot of artwork just on my own, like, free time. So I just brought all the things I had made throughout the years.
Wow.
And instead of, like, going in there, like, everyone would bring a little portfolio. You'd go in there on portfolio day. I just laid all my stuff outside on the sidewalk.
What?
Yeah. So I just laid it all out on the sidewalk.
What?
Because I was like, I did not want to like miss a chance to get in there, you know? So I brought like paintings and things on. I would work on weird materials because I couldn't afford canvases. So I just like, if I found a car door, I would draw on it, or refrigerator doors, or whatever I found in the street, you know? So I just had all that stuff, like, it's like a lot of junk really, but with maybe cool drawings. Some people will appreciate it. They might be in someone's house right now hanging up. Who knows?
Of course.
And so I just lined it up the street, and then I went to the counselor, and she's like, oh, where's your portfolio? And I go, it's outside. She's like, what? I go, it's outside. And we came outside, and like all the other parents with their kids and other artists, they were all looking at it, you know? They were like, is this a art? Like, is it an art sale? Like, and they were tripping out. And then the lady was like, okay, you can pick it up now. Like, like you can pick it up. But she was real nice that I was able to get into the school, you know?
Wow.
And then I got like some Pell Grants and some things, you know, because that shit is expensive.
Yeah.
It was way too expensive.
Yeah. And you were still doing the job.
Yeah, doing that job. And so then I quit that job and I just became a full-time student.
Damn.
And went to debt, and you know, and all that. And but you know, I had some grants and stuff and some things that helped me. Some loans and stuff like that. Yeah, student loans, and so that helped me. So then I went to San Francisco Art Institute, not to be confused with the Art Institutes. Yeah. Those are different schools. You know, we have a beef with them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so that school was you know, fine art school. It taught like painting and welding and sculpting and all that stuff, you know, printmaking. And so that's when I went there. And I graduated and I have a bachelor's degree. I didn't go for my master's.
How was that experience of the art school for you? Art
school was awesome. I met a lot of all the artists, all the kids, you know, all the people. I mean, I feel like, I was old at the time to go there. Most people were younger than me, a lot younger than me. But I became friends with a lot of different artists and met a lot of people. And I noticed there were like different groups at the school. And I tried to infiltrate all of them, you know? Yeah. And maybe it was my fear of like special ed, you know, like being stuck in one group. I don't want to be stuck, you know. I want to mingle with everybody now, you know? So I was like, I infiltrated all the groups and talked to everybody.
Was that right there next to SF MoMA? Was that school there, or where was
See, those are the Art Institutes.
So that's the Art Institute,
yeah. The Art Institutes were like spread out all over the place.
Yeah, I know what that school is. So where were you guys?
They were more like towards commercial art. This was more like fine arts. This is up on the hill. So it is Broadway.
It's the one that has the Diego Rivera painting in it?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
yeah. It's like I've closer
been there.
to
That's
the bay.
A fucking dope little campus.
Oh, it's so dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like part of it's really old. It kind of looks like a monastery. Yes. And then there's also then a new part. Yes, futuristic. Yes, block, connected. Yeah.
Yeah,
that place.
I visited that a couple of times, to see that mural, but I got to like, hang out on that campus. It's cool.
It's beautiful. Yeah, that's the thing that got me too was I checked out Cal Arts down here in Southern California, but the campus was like, you know, it's not that great. And then up there, just like you see the bay and everything,
beautiful views and everything.
Yeah, and then you're like right above Broadway, which runs into like Little Italy, right?
Yeah,
like all little like
North
so
Beach.
Sandwiches. Yeah, North Beach. Yeah, right there.
Food.
Yeah,
damn,
dude.
So much good food. Up there.
So it was like all that stuff was right there. So I was like, damn, I'm gonna step here. Yeah, you know what I mean? Step here in the Bay Area.
No, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think that school did to you and like your style and like what did it do for your drawing or what did it do to like your philosophies of art or?
So when I went there, I was being told like what each class costs, you know? So I realized I feel like I can paint at home, I can draw at home. I don't want to pay for any of these drawing classes and stuff like that, right?
Got it.
So I was like more interested in doing film. And so I took a film class.
What?
Yeah, I took a film class.
Awesome,
that was
dude.
dope because they have like all the machines and everything.
Yeah, you could like use the equipment to shoot stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they have all the equipment and everything. They teach you how to use it, and then it was like that really like artsy stuff where like you scratch on the film, so you can make like a scratch and make like animation basically, but with like actually scratching the film or painting on the film.
Okay.
So I did a lot of like those kind of films, and then like some narrative things, and just learning how to pick shots and stuff like that, you know. And then like I got a good compliment from my film teacher that he goes, "Oh, that was very smooth, like a pan, you know." Like he thought I did it with one of these, but I climbed up on top of a phone booth and I just did like this, you know. He's like, "Wow, you have a really good like you can hold it really steady, you know, really still." So I was like, "Oh, that's good. That's encouraging. That's encouraging, you know." So I really like compliments, like from my teachers, you know, that gave me energy. But and then also the other students, you know, they were like, one time I came out and I put up these drawings and I had taken slides of myself, like on a stool, laying down like this, so like I was flying. But then I projected them and then I traced them and drew them onto paper. But I removed the stool and then I would put them like like I'm flying, you know. But I'm like having a beanie and a hoodie on, so it's not like Superman, you know. It's like hoodie man or something. You know what I mean? And then I remember I put them up in the school and like other students were clapping and they're like, conceptual art. And I was like, man, that really made my whole year right there, you know, like getting cheered because I made some artwork. You know, so I'm like, I'm doing this art thing.
Oh, what a trip.
Like I'm sticking with this because this feels good, you know? So that school really like what it did was give me confidence. Yeah. You know, it gave me confidence. It gave me a group of students, a group of fellow artists, you know, my contemporaries, community, my contemporaries, and I went to school with a lot of badass artists. You know, they're amazing. They're like doing all kinds of crazy things. And I'm not going to turn this podcast into a name dropping thing. I'll tell you later.
Okay, that's good.
I don't want to be that guy who drops names.
It's all good. Either way is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But just amazing people, amazing artists, and hopefully, even though we're all spread out in different places, you know, lifelong friendships. You know, I try to stay connected through Instagram. I'm not really on Facebook. I'm just on Instagram. You know.
So you did mostly
phone calls,
like film stuff there. You didn't do anything else.
Yeah, I mostly did film, and I was doing like videos. So I started doing videos, and then we had like a 3/4 tapes. You know those ones, those big like the 3/4 tapes.
It's like. It was video or was it?
Yeah, it's like video, but it was like with the TVs would use it and stuff like that. TV networks or whatever. So it's like a giant, I'll show you one later. It's like a giant VHS. Yeah. It's like really big. And so we'd shoot on video and then transfer it onto that. Damn. And then I was doing like little narratives. I would pick like a 7-letter word. I told you this before, but I'd pick like a 7-letter word and then try to fill in a concept with it, you know? So like the word freedom and then make a video to it, or the word brother. I made a video about my brother, like just 7-letter words. Or brothers.
Why 7-letter words?
I don't know. I was on a kick with the number 7. So I just like I made a list of 7-letter words one day, and I was like, wow, these words are all like the most like powerful words happen to be 7-letter words in to me anyways.
That's interesting.
You know, to me, freedom is the most.
My name has 7
word.
letters.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rafael. Yeah. Oh no,
See?
that's 6. That's 6.
Oh, 6.
Damn it.
Well, what belongs to you is powerful. Rafael's, right?
Yeah, there you go. I'll put an S at
Put
the
S at the end. You got
or
7.
I'll use a PH.
Yeah.
Rafael. Anyways,
I don't know. I was on that kind of kick though, like a number thing.
Yeah. So then let's get into like when you started. Did you come back to LA? How did you start?
Am I being boring?
Not at all.
Talking about numbers. Talking about the number 7. People are going to turn this off.
Yeah, no.
Away. I want this to be entertaining.
This is
enlightening and help people.
Yeah, this is the reason why people tune in. I think to hear these stories that are not like not
your everyday.
Yeah, not your everyday stories. Yeah. And I really appreciate when people come on here and share things. And they say, I've never told anybody this before. And then they share something.
I can't tell you those things on there.
No, I mean,
I'll tell you later.
So,
I don't want to go to prison.
It's just, something that you've never said in an interview or something. I mean, it's you're already, you're giving us a lot.
Okay, good.
Yeah, don't feel that way. But I do want to come back to, like, how did you then eventually, like, come back to LA and start showing? Because you started to have some kind of success. And I want to get into, like, all the funky things that you've done and like spit art.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff like that.
So when I was up there in San Francisco, right when I graduated, right when I was going to graduate, I got a couple of shows. You know, I got a show at a gallery called Ampersand. You know that symbol, ampersand. So, and the guy was really cool. He's amazing. And so I got a show there, and then at the same time I got a show at Upper Playground.
Oh yeah,
familiar with that?
Yeah, yeah, the Walrus.
Yes. Yeah. Those guys.
They had one downtown for a bit here in LA. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gone, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had those shows, and then I was like, oh wow, I made it. You know, like I'm going to have art shows after I graduate. You know, and I've learned now never to say you made it with anything, because there's no making it.
Yeah,
there's doing it.
It's a continuing. Yeah.
Yes.
Keep making art is what's important.
Yeah. I was always like, I think when I was younger, I mean, I wasn't even that young. I was in my 30s. But I was like, okay, you do all this art, work on it for like a couple of months, and then you have a show, and then that's the big moment. That's where it all is going to come together or whatever. But it never does, you know?
Yeah.
It's always kind of like a letdown, and you go, okay, I'm going to go back at it.
It's a process. It's a continuing cycle. You know, it just keeps going. And for me, the doing of the art is what's fun. Yeah. And the showing of the art is a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with the doing for me. No. I like showing.
I like that because that's when I get to talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm isolated for so long.
Yeah, you get to show, you get to talk to people, you get to say, oh, you know what, this happened and this is how this funny story behind this piece or whatever, things like that. And then, I mean, hopefully, if you're lucky, you sell some pieces. That always feels amazing.
Yes. And I'm always grateful to people who have supported my work. I want to say thank you. Yeah, you know who you are. You know what I mean? It's a big deal. And every artist, whatever, you know, musician, whatever field, you know, you need your supporters. You need people to support you.
Yeah, so you can keep doing what you do.
Yes, definitely.
And so don't forget to donate at DANCNG SOBR.
Yes, and don't forget to pick up the gear too,
Venmo,
right?
Yeah, pick up some stuff in the shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, the doing of the art is what's
that's the most fun.
Personally rewarding or
and healing
is what drives the whole boat.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The doing, because I mean, obviously, you have to do. Look at this. Like you just continue to do and do and do and do and do.
Yeah, I just keep going. You know, I really like that Energizer Bunny commercial back in the day, you know? Or the Nike thing. You know, just do it. You know, just keep going. And so when I was in San Francisco and I graduated, I had those art shows. I thought like, okay, I'm gonna have, you know, this is gonna be it, but it really wasn't it. But so then I just continue to have art shows. Yeah. I showed all over San Francisco. I used to have like a map in my room, and wherever, like, you know, I showed at coffee shops, galleries, strange places, churches, like, you know, this random things came my way where, hey, you want to put your work? Yeah, I'll do it. I never said no. And so then I just started putting all these pins up, you know, and I had a map of San Francisco, and it was like pins all over the place. Yeah. And those are like all different places I showed, you know, from like a closet I put a painting in, you know, like, or to like a gallery where I had like a walls or 4 walls to myself, you know. So that was always fun. And to me, it was just like to motivate me to do more. And then I got a job because, you know, things started getting really expensive up there with the .coms and all that. And so I got a job at teaching art. There was this thing called the Imagine Bus Project. So they had this little bus and they turned it into an art studio. And it would pull up in like bad neighborhoods. Back then, I guess it would call the bad neighborhood. You know, I don't know. You can't even say that anymore. Who knows? Cool.
We get it.
But it's a bad neighborhood. It was like Hunters Point up there and stuff. So we'd drive in there and we would teach kids art. Kids would come on the bus and we would draw. Sometimes kids would have guns. They would flash the guns at us. Wow. And we would just keep making art. You know, we would just keep going. And that same program also had a class in Juvenile Hall, San Francisco Juvenile Hall. So I taught a class up there. And that was just a drawing class. But the pencils had to be like that. The markers had to be like that. Wow. And so that was challenging. Yeah. You hold the pencil and draw. You know, so... But that was just basically drawing. So I would just go up there, set up my little class, have paper, and I would start drawing. Yeah. Then they would see me drawing. They would look at it. The ones who were into it, they'd start drawing. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, what am I going to draw? I'm going to be like, what am I going to draw? I go, draw whatever you want, draw your life, draw what happened to you, draw what you like. So I have a collection of these great drawings because we would trade drawings at the end of the class. I would give them my drawings and they'd give me their drawings. Wow. And some of them were like heartbreaking, like the things they would draw. They would write like about their story, their parents. One kid drew a house all like shot up, and I was like, "What is this?" He's like, "That's my house, and I lost my brother." Wow. Or different things, And I didn't know that stuff was really going on in San Francisco, because I was in areas where it wasn't like where I lived. It wasn't like a crime. Like I used to live by San Francisco State. And then when I went to school, it was on Chestnut, the Art Institute. I know down here in LA, it was like violence, but I didn't really know like the outer mission and the mission and like the Hunter's Point until I started working these jobs that, they got as much problems as we had down here. You know what I mean? I didn't know that. So it was eye-opening. And so teaching those classes and working with those kids was pretty awesome. And then it got really stressful. I got stressed out. I started like losing my hair, and I started like urinating the bed and stuff like that. And because one time I went in there and I didn't know what that was, So I asked the doctor. I said, "Why did I pee the bed? Like, why am I having problems?" Like, and he said, "It's stress." Wow. They go, "It's just stress. That's what happens." They go, "You're under stress," and it was that job. It was really the jobs, like kids with guns coming on the bus freaked me out, And I just have to play it off like. This is no problem, And then the juvenile hall, like one day I went in there and, they have like a garden there with you, So we're all drawing, and the kids in there are big. They're bigger than me. Some of these kids.
They're all working out.
Yeah, and this kid comes up to me. He socks me in my rib like as hard as he can. What? And I hadn't felt that pain. I had been in fights before, but just to have a clean shot. Where I can't even get ready for it. Yeah. And he just hit me in my rib. And then I was just like, I just played it cool though. I was like, and I looked at the security guard, like, is he going to do anything? And then the security guard looked at me, he goes, "Okay, now you can hit him back." What? And I go, and the guy goes, "Yeah, we're playing the game." And this kid, he's a really big guy, but he talked like his voice was like Mickey Mouse. Yeah, which I found really like a Mike Tyson kind of, but his voice was like Mickey Mouse. And he's like, "Yeah, it's okay. We're playing the game, And And I was just like, what game were we playing? And so they're saying that he's hitting the kids, they're hitting him, they're hitting you, you can hit them, and like sucker punches, Yeah. And I'm like, nah, I ain't playing this game. We ain't doing this. This is not healthy. This is not good. Like, this is terrible. Yeah. This is really terrible. What's going on in behind those bars? You know what I mean? Fuck yeah. But dude, that dude scared me too. Like the security guard, he's like a big crazy dude. Who's like dad worked there and now he works there, second generation incarceration guy. That's crazy. Like his whole life is in there too. He's in prison. Yeah, that's crazy. So he has a different mindset, Exactly, yeah. And so if he wants to hit me, I'm probably gonna get really hurt. Yeah. And some of these kids are gonna hurt me. Yeah. And so I just said, nah, I ain't doing it, And so that was stressful. And I came home and then the next day I had like a big bruise. Like I didn't know how bad it was, but it was bad. Yeah. Like he really. He is powerful. That dude is powerful. Yeah. He maybe could be a boxer. But and so that was happening. And then one day I was watching the news and a kid had escaped the juvenile hall and was up on the roof. Wow. And that was one of my students. And I was like, oh shit. So then I went back to class and I went to talk to like the main guy. I don't know. It wouldn't be the ward. I don't know if they call it a warden juvenile hall, but whoever ran the thing, I went to talk to him. Because there's like different units, like B1, B2, B3, and then like B1 and maybe like those kids have problems at home or whatever. They stole something. Then B2, maybe some violence, maybe some vandalism. B3, they killed somebody. Yeah.
Different levels of security.
Yeah. And that kid was in, I think he was in B2 or something like that. He's like, he's not violent. But he wasn't that bad, Oh, okay. And he was and I went looking for him in all those units and I couldn't find him. So I went to talk to the guy, like, where is he? And then the dude was like, yeah. I guess it's been like 20 years, so it's okay to talk about this shit. I felt powerless. Well, anyways, and he's like, no, you don't need to know what happened to him. And like, just mind your own business. And, wow. Like, and then I quit. Wow. I just quit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, but what was really cool on my last day, it was like during Christmas. It was 2004 during Christmas. I can remember that date. And they had these kids come in and sing to the other kids. And then one of the singers, like I recognized him, but I didn't know where. And he came in like tugged on me. He's like, hey, I was in your class. And I was like, what? I was like, I was in here. I was in this class. Do you remember me? And I go, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah. I'm like, out now. I'm doing okay.
Yeah,
he goes like, I really liked your class.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I get one kid like talk to me. And like, it was like telling me like, basically in my mind, it was like telling me like a sign that it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to quit on these kids. Yeah, like I got one of them. I reached one of them.
How many years did you do?
I did for like 2 years.
Yeah, okay, that's not too long.
And the last year, it was just a struggle. It was hard, man. It was like
jail culture is pretty fucking bad.
It's terrible.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into how you developed this style here. I mean, it's very. I mean, it has some elements of like jail too in some instances.
Yeah, like I'm in my own jail. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I feel like maybe we all are.
How did you develop this?
I think about that when I make this stuff too. Yeah. Like the classes in America and where you are in America, and so it is like, you know, you can be free and still be in a prison. Yeah,
and your mental fucking prison. But how did you develop this style, or how did it come up to you? Because it is reminiscent of like tattoo culture kind of stuff, but it still has your own like unique touch to it, and you know, it looks like pen drawings, but it's actually painted, right? So you use a brush for this.
Yeah, I do it with a pencil first and then a brush.
Because your lines are fucking perfect.
Well, thank you. I'm terrible at lines. If you saw these things when I first go at it, like these lines are very wavy and stuff. And what I do is I'll come back with the white paint and sharpens like the end of these, you know?
Got it.
Like I don't got that like Barry McGee, he can just do it with a stroke.
Those pinstripe painters that do that.
He has those skills. Yeah. I don't have those skills.
Yeah.
I can cheat and make it look like I have those skills.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But
the final product
takes me twice as long, probably.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a little bit dyslexic way about going about it, probably the way I do it, you know, kind of backwards.
Yeah. I want to get into a little bit about like how you like developed this. I want to call it like a crowded style, or like you feel every single corner, and you know, there's some darkness in there in some of these.
Yeah. Well, with these, what I was trying to do, this was kind of ironic because I started these before, maybe like 2 years before the pandemic, and I would call these series the crowds. And then I couldn't be in crowds anymore. So then I started thinking, should I just paint one person way over here and then just one other person? Yeah. But then I just stuck with it, and I was hoping that, because remember when this thing first took off, the pandemic, how confusing and how scary it was.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, there was some deep fucking...
all the shit was gone in the stores. That was the most scariest part.
Scariness,
yeah, so like we didn't know where it was going, but then I just stuck with it and just continued making crowds, like trying to also be hopeful that we can get back to normal one day.
Got it.
I feel like we're there now, huh? Are we back?
Yeah. I mean, at least we can walk around and...
We're in some other mess now. Yeah. We're in some other messes.
There's a lot of residual bullshit that's still around, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm open to talk about politics too, and like giving money to the war machine and all the bullshit, you know, and this government, and how these two sides, they pit us against each other. Yeah. But these two sides are just the heads and tails on the same coin.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's for sure. I want to stick a little bit with the art stuff, because we haven't really talked about your art a lot. We've talked about like how you got here, but I want to talk more about like, because you also, not just this, but you have a lot of different styles. You have,
I probably have
like some stuff that looks really realistic, and you have other things that are just like the simple lines. And, but, I mean, I say simple lines, but it's not that simple. Yeah.
Well, so with these ones I was trying to do is I work in like bodies of work. So I'll do different things. So like I'll do like realistic pencil drawings. I feel like I made enough of those, so I kind of moved on from those. But every once in a while, I'll come back and do a pencil drawing. And when I do with a pencil drawing is I just feel like the tool itself, the lead, it's easier to create so much more detail. And maybe a better tool for me, anyways, personally, to create something that looks more realistic.
Got it.
So I can do that with a pencil. I mean, I could probably do that with a paintbrush, but I just haven't felt that. When I was in high school, I would paint more realistic things. But I just not feeling. I don't feel that way right now. You know.
Yeah.
So I went on to this series, which was just try to be simple, black and white, white on black, or the reverse, and just trying to make something that would keep your eye moving, and hopefully something that if someone was to collect this work or live with this work, they might find something new in it. You know, even though they might have it for a while.
Yeah.
They might find something new in it. You know what I mean?
Every time you look at it, it's something different. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm a very fast visual reader. So like when I go to a show, if things are just lined up like on a line, I feel bad because I get it so fast. I see it so fast, and you know. So I wanted something that would be more try to keep the viewer there a little bit longer. Yeah. You know, try to keep your interest a little bit longer.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's what the tactics that I'm trying to, you know.
You're also like very fascinated with pop culture too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like when I went to art school, the San Francisco Art Institute, I used to have a really cool library up there, and I used to just look at all the East Coast artists. Those were my favorite artists, like Basquiat, Keith Haring, Andy Warhol. So you know, I learned about pop art through you know, Andy Warhol and Keith Haring and Basquiat. Yeah, those guys were like superheroes to me, and how they were all on the East Coast and at the same time period, and friends, you know, all the stories, and how Keith Haring and Basquiat would do their work on the streets, you know, and then they came to the galleries. So I mean, that's what I was trying to do in San Francisco. You know, I was doing graffiti, but my graffiti wasn't really to like to like capture fame or something. It was more, I did a lot of political graffiti. I met an artist up there. His name was Rigo. And he changes his school. He's like changes. So right now he's probably Rigo. What are we, 22? 23.
2023.
Okay. So Rigo 2023 is his name. But back then it was Rigo 2003. And did you ever see those signs? It's like a big one-way sign pointing to the sky.
Yeah.
Or like a big sign by the freeway pointing to a tree. It says one tree. And there's a tree. That was Rigo's work.
I don't know. It sounds familiar, but I can't say that I have. That sounds pretty.
I mean, they're huge. They'll take up a whole building.
Yeah, I think I saw one in the Bay Area, like right by the 101 as you're getting into the city.
Yes,
there was
exactly.
a giant wall on the side of a building that you could see like in between two overpasses.
Yeah.
I think I know. Yeah. I do remember that.
So he got me really like thinking political and stuff. So we would go to like, that's when Bush was running for the second time, and everyone was trying to stop him in San Francisco. And then we went to a meeting, right? And everyone's saying all their things. And then, like I said, you know, you ain't gonna stop anything unless you're willing to give up your life for it. And then Rigo was like, oh damn, you know. and then no one, but everyone just thought it was like a joke, or no one. They just kind of just okay, next. Like, but and then he won again. You know what I mean? But I feel like with this country, really, if you want to do a change, yeah, you're going to have to sacrifice your life. I mean, that's how all the things that got changed is because people sacrificed their lives.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But do you agree with that?
I don't want to die.
No one wants to die. I mean, that's our main thing to stay alive, right?
Yeah.
But as far as like, if you have a political agenda or you really want to change something, you're going to have to put yourself like, on the line.
Yeah, are you somebody that's going to run in for that belief, but also put your life up for it?
I'm not. No, I'm not. But I'm saying that was my advice to them.
Yeah.
They're the ones who wanted to change anything. Yeah. But just by making signs and making T-shirts, that ain't going to change anything. Yeah, you got to really be willing to put your life on the line.
That's true.
Or forget about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too hardcore that way, but that's the way I really feel that's the truth.
Well, let's just say that that's one way that things have been done. But there are like slower, longer methods that, you know, also work that make change. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I just don't want to wait. That was a force agreed. You forced me to agree with you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
I mean, of course, there's
different philosophies and different.
There's the peace method
things.
And the peace philosophy, and you know, those things do take a lot longer.
Yeah,
and patience.
And then they switch it back on you.
Yeah,
you know, like women's rights, right? Now they're taking away the rights of women, and they fought and died for that and all that, and now now they want to take the rights away. It's like. You know, so you got to go in there and stop them really hard so that they can never change it back to the bad way again. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole thing, it's always a continuous cycle that you have to keep fighting for those things. You know, it's like, I don't think the fight ever ends or has ever ended. It's like the people that are underserved and underprivileged are always having to fight to get that extra crumb, having to fight to continue. And 20 years later, it's a different group of young people having to fight again. You know, it's a continuous cycle. It just
never ends.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The bullshit never ends.
It doesn't end. It doesn't end because there's always going to be people in positions of power that take advantage, and there's always going to be people in underserved and poor areas that have to scream.
Yeah.
The squeaky wheel gets the oil, you know?
That's right. Yeah, my grandmother always told me that, and I use that to get you.
Yeah. You have to squeak.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what are you doing now as far as like being in shows or anything like that?
So right now I'm just working on a new body of work, and I'm building it up. I like to those things over there. I switch to those. So they're similar to these, but different. And I'm messing with elements from the maze that I built.
Yeah.
I built like this maze in my backyard. It's like a structure. People walk in there.
The haunted house.
It's like a haunted house, yeah. And I open it up for Halloween and have parties and stuff. And so I'm taking wood off of that thing, because I feel like it's been infused with really good energy, like positive energy. The people that came to the parties throughout those years and those vibes and that energy's on there. So I'm taking those boards and painting on them.
How do you call it? Like when certain artists take a piece of wood and they do like distressed wood because they leave it out in the weather for a long time. So you've left those pieces in the elements of parties.
Yes.
And so it does have the energy. It's picked up that and the wood carries it. And that's badass.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, maybe to some people that may sound strange, but to me, I feel that everything is energy. I mean, that's all we are is energy. Yeah. Like when we die, it's because our energy left our bodies. You know what I mean? So I feel, I really do believe in those things like energies and vibes and I would say maybe is that spirituality? I don't know.
It is
not in a gospel sense, but a spiritual.
Yeah, I would say that that's how you can describe it. Definitely, like spirituality. How can you say it? Like it's an element that is explained through spirituality to some people. You know, like there is an element of how our energies interact, and then people explain it to their groups in different ways. Some religious, some spiritual, some scientific.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
But it's the same energies that are being described by different people.
Yeah, so I'm interested in, as a visual artist, I'm definitely interested in what you see with your eyes. Yeah. But I'm also just as interested in the things that you can't see that you're gonna vibe with, that you're picking up on. Yeah,
I had somebody ask me once.
The unknown stuff.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me. She was a painter, and she feels that like her spirit goes into the paintings, right, and her energy, right.
Yeah, I believe this. Yeah.
So she asked me if I felt the same way about a photograph, and I said, yeah. I mean, it definitely does.
Totally.
Yeah, totally. Like it carries a spirit, it carries a ghost of that moment, but also like a ghost of the work that I did to shape it and to crop it and to share it, because you're the one that defines the space, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do believe in that as well.
Yeah, I think this. I don't know if there's any way to control it or to use it, but I think just to be aware of it and to be conscious of it, and I think if you're conscious of it and aware of it, then I think it could end up working for you on a subconscious level.
Yeah. Definitely. Because there's certain elements of that you can't control.
Yes.
It's just
and you got to be careful. Yeah. That's where you got to be careful.
Yeah, it's just there, and it just lives in it. It lives in the art.
Yeah.
In its own way.
Yeah. And I still, talking about my artwork, I still jump back to series that I've done before, just to do them. Like I've done a cup series where every time I got out of my car, I would find a cup from a fast food place in LA. So I collected all these cups.
I've seen those. Yeah. You smash the cup and that's really cool stuff too.
I like smash the cup and make like a jack-o'-lantern face on it, cut it out, make a pumpkin face on a cup though. And it's because,
that in a way also has a bit of like pop culture in it too. Because if it's
kind of like an homage.
If it's a McDonald's cup or if it's a Jack in the Box cup,
totally.
It still has that
Americana. Totally. And that's a way to introduce color to my work too, without messing with color too much. You know, but those things are very colorful, and it's kind of an homage to Andy Warhol's Campbell soup cans.
Okay,
you know?
Got it.
It's very much that.
Yeah,
you know? It's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
the same thing, but different.
But you're using the actual cup.
Yeah. Using the actual cup and then changing it, you know, taking one man's trash and trying to make it into a treasure, you know, for someone else, you know?
Yeah.
And do you know about the jack-o'-lanterns, like why they're done?
No.
So those are done to scare off evil spirits.
Ah.
That's why they were done like back in the day.
Got it.
So it's a positive thing. The jack-o'-lantern, you put that on your porch every Halloween to keep out the bad. Oops, I hit the mic.
That's okay.
And so that's how I feel about those cups. Those are to keep you away from fast food joints. Keep out the evil spirits.
The horrible food that people are eating at
Try to kill us. Why they try to kill us in every way, huh? It really is crazy. We live in a fucking crazy ass, batshit world crazy. Butt shit crazy. How about that?
Some of that fucking food is horrible, but damn it, it's so good. But
it's addicting.
Fucking, it's just addicting more than good.
It got us.
It's not really good. It is addicting. Yeah.
That's maybe the main thing about it. Yeah.
You ever read A Fast Food Nation, the book?
I didn't read the book, but I haven't actually read a lot of books. I maybe read like 2 or 3 books. They're biographs. Is that how you say it?
Biographies.
Biographies, yeah. That's what I'm really into those.
Yeah.
I read the Andy Warhol one, Keith Haring one, and one about the actor and director and musician Billy Bob Thornton.
No way.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Oh, that's a trip. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got to meet him once.
You did? Oh, that's so cool. He's like a hero of mine, you know?
Yeah.
As far as film.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's acting.
He was an indie film guy in the beginning.
That's awesome.
But
I like Bad Santa. I watch it every. You haven't seen Bad Santa?
No.
Okay, we're gonna hang out.
I promise I'll watch it.
Okay.
Let's talk about real quick about I really want to talk about how you got on the Jimmy Kimmel show and your spit art. And when I saw that clip on YouTube, I was like, oh shit, I think I remember watching this when it came out, you know? So okay. I did see it when it actually came out because I would watch the Jimmy Kimmel show all the time.
Okay.
And I like that you guys were on there and you brought your little documentary crew.
Yeah, my brother does like video things and stuff like that. He had a thing called Pimply Wimp.
Yeah.
And so pimplywimp.com. Shout out to my brother.
I subscribe to his channel now. But I like that you guys kept calling him Jimmy Kimball.
I did?
Not you, but I think there was a girl there and another guy that said, we're here at the Jimmy Kimball show. I thought that was funny. But
you know, his kids are artists.
Oh, no way. I didn't know.
Yeah, like I ran into him after I did that. I ran into him at Blick's art supply store with his kids.
No
And he's like, and I was like, hey, man. And he was like, who the hell are you? Like,
yeah.
And I was on your show one time. You had me on there. I do art, you know? And then he was like, oh, yeah, I remember then. And he was like, I'm getting my kids all these art supplies. You know, they're artists. So that's cool.
Oh, that's badass. But so tell us about the spit art. How did that come up?
Okay, so
I know you're not doing that anymore, but
no, that's a young person's sport.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So back in the day, we're going back now again.
Yeah.
So that girl who convinced me, my ex-girlfriend who convinced me to go to art school, one day me and her, she lived in Portland. So I lived in different places too. I stayed in different places a lot. Spent a lot of time in Santa Barbara and in Portland, Oregon. And so we were in Portland, Oregon, and we're walking along and we're making jokes, you know, goofing around, you know. And I think she accidentally knocked the drink out of my hand and it fell on the ground. It was like, I think I was just drinking water and it fell on the ground and it made a shape of a chicken. What? And I was like, that looks like a chicken. And then she goes, it does. It looks like a chicken. And then I was like, wait a minute. And then I was like, wait a minute. So then I put some water in my mouth and then I just tried to like outline it. She's like, what are you doing? You know, like I was just being an ass, you know? And then I realized that I can use my, I think I was watching videos where like people they don't have arms, but they're drawing, you know? They're painting with their mouth. Paintbrush. And so it's like, wow, that's really cool. Like, so people are so determined to get the art out of them. They'll use anything as a tool, you know?
Yeah.
And then in art school too, you know, like doing those videos and stuff, they were like performance art. So I studied a little bit about performance art. So I knew about that kind of stuff. And so I was like, oh, this could be like a performance art.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking like it's water, so it evaporates.
It disappears and it's gone.
I won't get in trouble.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Right?
Yeah.
So then then I started doing it in the streets of San Francisco and at art shows, you know. So I'd be at an art show, I have some pieces in there, and then I'd go out front, and then I would do a spit drawing, and then people would come out of the gallery, and they'd trip out on it, you know. because no one was doing that at the time, right? And they would trip out, and then I would do like different techniques. I had like techniques where I could do a long drip, or I would get close, or I would do like a spray paint can, and I would do my hands like I'd make like a stencil with my hands, you know, whatever, you know, yeah, do that kind of stuff. So it just kind of caught on, and then like the media is like a whore for anything that could take up people's time and distract them from the real causes in life. Yep. So they're like, oh, let's get this, like look at this. Let's throw this on there. This is entertaining. So they hit me up, and then they're like, hey, you want to come on here? Like, we'll give you some money, and come on, and we have this back lot. Maybe you can do it back there. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I was like doing it because I didn't have a washer and a dryer at that time.
That's your motivation.
Like broke it, yeah. So like or they were like crappy ones that So and like what I was gonna get paid could get new ones. Yeah. So I was like, I'll do it. And also, I'm kind of like a ham a little bit. I like attention. I think that's like artists in general. You kind of like attention of other people.
Yeah.
And so that's why I did the spit art too, because people would gather around me. Yeah. Sometimes they would talk shit about me, or sometimes they would like it. You could hear all the people like as you're doing it. Yeah. You could hear the different people commenting out loud. That's funny. And I did it at a party one time in LA. And they're like, let's kick his ass. Like, what is he doing? He's sick. Let's kick his ass. Let's rob him. And then the other dude, he knew that I did that. Yeah. So he stood up for me. He's like, no, you ain't gonna kick him. Yeah. He's like, he's an artist. Like, watch what he's gonna do. Yeah. So then I did the face, and then everybody was cool with me, Wow. But when I first started doing it, like, what is he doing? He's throwing up. Yeah. And I would do it at street events in San Francisco, and I actually got stopped by the cops a couple of times. They're like, you can't spit in public. It's a rule. If you do it again, I'll give you a citation. And then people were like cheering against the cops. They're like, it's a water. Yeah. It's gonna evaporate, And then after that, to spite the cops, then I started doing it with like $2 Chuck, red wine, and so it would stain, so it would last a little bit.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
So I'd find like the cleanest sidewalks in San Francisco, and then use red wine.
Holy shit!
So it would be there. So I got them back.
That's funny.
But because I hate authority, I hate being told what I can and cannot do.
I love that. I'm the same way myself. But I think that's pretty cool, man. Just that you were doing this funky little thing, and it ended up you were doing it at other people's art shows too, and they were inviting you to do it, and then you're doing it at Jimmy Kimmel. All of a sudden, you're on fucking national TV doing this thing.
Yeah, I've probably been kind of rude as an artist sometimes. I've been to other people's art shows and brought art to sell, and also did like spit art, in front of their show, try to steal the audience, whatever. I've done things like that. Looking back now, that's probably what a young person would do, I probably wouldn't do that nowadays.
I think somebody else that's an artist would be like, hey, that's cool, man. Let him fucking do his thing. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm kind of like, there's something inside of me that just makes me do that. Yeah. Sometimes I can't control it. Yeah. Like this, like I can't control this. Like I have to do this stuff, Yeah. Sometimes I don't want to do it. Yeah. Well, not really, because I always want to do it, and that's a problem, though. You know what I mean? Like, but sometimes you're like, I don't want to do that right now because you have things to do, but you want to do it because it's like forcing you out, or it's coming out of your body. So and then I have like so many ideas in my head that I'm not gonna get to it. I'm gonna die, and I'm not gonna make what I want to make because there's not enough time. And before when I was younger, it's weird because I would do like one drawing a day, and like that was all I could do. Like I would start a drawing and I'd finish it. But now at the age that we're at, like the age that I'm at, I don't know. It's like I have more control over my energy, where I can make 5 drawings in a day. Wow. And I don't know if it's because just I've been doing it longer. I can't figure it out. Like, why is it like that? Why is it easier now that I'm older? Maybe because be more difficult. There's less things taking up your brain space. Maybe. I don't know. I find it interesting. Yeah. I mean, that's a good observation. We're definitely winding down.
Okay. If we don't want to go for another hour,
we can. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk more about the spit art stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So when I did that Jimmy Kimmel thing, then I started getting hit up. Yeah. I got hit up by Conan O'Brien. I got hit up by America's Got Talent.
What? That's
and
crazy.
Then they told me what they wanted to do with Conan O'Brien is they wanted me to go on there and do it on paper with red wine, because I told them my whole story, and they're like, okay, this is what we want you to do. We're going to do a sketch. You're going to teach Conan how to do spit art, but you're going to do it on paper. And then he's going to do like this whole funny thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but this is meant for the street.
Yeah.
And it's not, doesn't really work on paper.
No.
And they were going to make a joke out of me. And then they wanted to put me on American Talent so they can boot me off. And I'm not going to go up against a singer or a comedian spitting water, or a musician, like, or a magic guy, you know what I mean? Spitting water. So
how much did they offer?
I said no to all of it. I said no.
You got to tell me how much they offered then.
They offered a lot. I'd never been to New York before. They offered like first class accommodations, flight out there, limo ride from the hotel to the show, pay me maybe a couple grand, $5,000 maybe, $4 or $5,000.
That's hard to say no to. So
it was hard to say no to. Yeah. It was also like after 9/11 too. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I want to go to New York and fly an airplane. It was like not too far after that. That stuff was still in my mind. Yeah. But also how I felt like if I do these things, this is it.
That's what it becomes.
That's what I am. Yeah, I'm a spit art guy for the rest of my life. Yeah. I maybe not even should have done the Jimmy Kimmel one, to be honest. You know what I mean? But
I think that one was cool. I watched it. It's a
sellout. I sold out. I needed a washer and a dryer.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
And I went on the mainstream. You know what I mean? I was there to fill space.
Yeah, but I don't think you did anything that was that made you look bad. You know, it was like
they told me I couldn't do anything against the war. Yeah. And they said don't do anything with weed. But I at the end, toward the end, if you watch it, I did put a joint in the chicken's mouth.
Oh, okay.
And I think I did write no war.
Oh, shit.
You might see it for like half a second though or something.
That's funny.
But I did what they told me not to do. But towards the end. Yeah. That was nerve-wracking. Because it was on a hill. Yeah. And
saw someone was dripping,
Yeah. And then like I had that thing in my ear, like they were telling me,
hear him,
okay, to do it. And like being on live television, I was freaking stressed.
Yeah, it was live.
Yeah, I was stressed. Yeah. But I think I came out funny. I think it's really funny.
Yeah, I think it was perfect. It was pretty cool to do that, yeah.
But I feel like I would become like a joke or something. Yeah. A spit art joke. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. That's not why I started doing spit art. Yeah. You know, to be on America, I'm not gonna go on America's Got Talent.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit too much right there.
I would have had money, and maybe I would have had fame or something. I don't know. In a weird way, bad way. Yeah, I don't know. Get recognized for spitting water.
I think it was a good place to cut it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cut it.
Yeah. But so now you're not doing anything like with maybe a spray bottle or something.
No. I think I could still do a spit art. Just it's gonna be really slow and sad. It'll be sad.
Maybe tell us a little bit more about like the evolution of the house and the haunted house and where it's going now.
Okay. So the haunted house is so when I moved back here in 2004, I was stressed out with going back. I was stressed out with working for Juvenile Hall and that Imagine Bus project, and my rent and everything, and then also I think I had been in like everywhere I possibly could show my art in San Francisco, other than museums weren't asking me to show my artwork, but all the venues that someone at my level could show, I've already showed. So I was like, maybe I'm done here, you know? And this house was empty. My mom had this house from the divorce with my dad. It was empty. She used to rent it out to family and friends, but it was empty at that time. And I remember her telling me as a kid, like, if anything happens or you can't figure it out, you could always go back there and live, you know? You'll be okay. You have a place to live. Yeah. And so then I was just like, the house is empty. I'm losing my hair. I'm pissing the bed. Kids are coming on the buses with guns. I don't know where my art's going. Yeah. Am I just gonna loop around and do all these same galleries again? Yeah. You know, and also I wasn't feeling the galleries. Yeah. It just wasn't happening for me. It wasn't working out for me. So I decided to move down here. I moved down here and the house was empty. And then now it was like, over there I was a little fish in a little pond. Does that make sense? No, I was a little fish in a little pond, but down here I was a little fish in a big pond, in an ocean. LA is like an ocean compared to San Francisco, you know? Wow. Like San Francisco, you can meet everybody in San Francisco. It's a very small radius, you know? Yeah. And like the art scene and everything, it's really pretty tight community. But LA, it was like, I don't even know there's a place to show artwork down here. I didn't know shit about LA, you know? Even though this is where I was from.
When did you move back down?
2004.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I moved back down in 2004, I was like, this place is empty. I need to make friends. How do I get people to come over here? I have a Halloween party. So I had a Halloween party. I started walking around the town. I went into a shop. They were selling shirts that I did with Upper Playground. So I went in there and I met this girl, Angie, and she had a store in South Pasadena. And she lived in El Sereno. She was from El Sereno. So I was like, oh, crazy. And she goes, I go, oh, that's my shirt. And she's like, what do you mean that's your shirt? You want to buy that? I go, no, I made that design. And I worked with Upper Playground. And she's like, oh. And she knew of my work. And she's like, oh, I thought you're up there. And I'm like, I moved back down here. And then I made friends with her. And then she had a space. Her store was a clothing store, but she had a big space behind it that wasn't being used. And she told me like, I was thinking about using this for a gallery. And then I was like, I'll go. I'll be first. Yeah. And so we just had a gallery show there, and people from El Sereno, people from South Pasadena, Alhambra, they showed up, you know. And then I started like helping her curate shows there, and I started meeting other artists. And it was all through like the Halloween party, and just walking around. I used to walk around Silver Lake, and I had a suitcase. I used to walk around with a suitcase. I did this in San Francisco too. I had a suitcase of drawings that I would just open it up, and then I would sell it, like sell art, you know, sell drawings. And then I met people. There was a little stretch of Silver Lake. They had these different stores. You know, there was a tattoo shop, clothing store, different stores, and they each offered me a show. So I'll be like, one day I was at the clothing store. One day I was at the coffee shop. One day I was at the... You ever heard of a place called Han Cholo?
Yeah. He used to do the rings and all that. Yeah.
So then he had a show there. That's that little stretch that I'm talking about. Okay. So you've been to that brick building with the little stores?
I've never been to it. But...
Oh, you never been? But you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So it was like a brick building with all these little storefronts. And all those little storefronts were run by like fairly young creative people. So they gave me an opportunity to show my work. So then I showed there, and then I think I like forced my work upon Giant Robot. You know Giant Robot? Eric Nakamura. I brought my artwork to him. I'm like, hey man, let me get in your spot, you know, and let me, you know. And then he surprised me one day. He's like, I'm gonna put you on the cover of the magazine.
Wow.
And I'll do an interview with you. And then I was like, oh, that was like a dream, you know, to have my artwork in a magazine. Yeah. On the cover. I was stoked because also, you know, like my other favorite artist, Barry McGee, you know, and other artists that I really admire, appreciate, they were on the covers of past Giant Robots. So that was a big moment for me. That felt great. That's awesome. And I did shows with him. And then I just kept doing shows around LA. And I've worked with different galleries, you know, throughout LA. And just one thing leads to another. Yeah. You know, I don't really like set a target and go, oh, I want to get that place and then try to get it. Yeah. I kind of just let it. I just kind of just surfing the wave, you know what I mean? Yeah. See where it takes me.
You do the work and you hopefully people see it and hopefully people like invite you. And
it's worked like that for quite a while where I just make a body of work and then when I'm ready, something will happen. Yeah. Mysteriously.
Yeah. I think you're like an artist's artist, right? I think you're one of those people that's just like.
I feel like a lot of artists support my work. Like a lot of artists.
Because you're so.
Support my work.
Just. I mean, of course, every artist loves art, but yeah, there's a different like deepness to your like art that is, I don't know what I'm saying here.
Well, I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. Yeah. I feel I am deeply 100% in on art and in on people, and I am dedicated, and it's my whole life. Like I'll give everything I have to it. Like how I said about politics, like if you want to change something, you have to die for it. Like I will die for art. I will die for my art.
But don't do it.
No. But you know what I mean?
I feel you.
I hope I don't have to, but you know what I mean? I'm probably going to die from America's food.
It, or just like be painting and drawing, you know, to your last breath, you know?
Yeah. And I love art. I appreciate art. I really love other artists. Yeah. And then like when Instagram came out and I went on Instagram, like I knew the artists in San Francisco that I went to school with and the artists that were doing things there. And then when I came down here, I knew the artists in certain small communities, you know, South Pasadena, the Silver Lake area, Echo Park area. I knew those artists, right? But then on Instagram, holy crap, there's millions of artists, you know? And then you get to know all them. Like you don't get to know them, but you mean you know their work, right? Yeah. But then I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Yeah. There is so many artists. Yeah. I think ever in the history of the world.
Yeah, like now that you see it in those numbers, like,
isn't it wild?
yeah, of course, yeah. Musicians, artists, photographers, it's just so many. And even like with the movies and, the channels and people making movies and shows, it's just so much. You can't even take it all in. There's so many
much.
platforms. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's good though. It's great for artists.
Let's talk a little bit about, I just want to end on this. Like, what's your favorite movie? Being influenced so much by movies and film.
Yeah. Oh, Amadeus. I would say.
Oh, really?
Amadeus.
I love Amadeus. Yeah.
Amadeus,
I can't even do the laugh right now, but I used to do a good impression of his laugh. Wolfie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful film. That's a beautiful movie, and it's like the sadness of Salieri and his struggle to like be unknown and
the whole story with his father, like
the whole story with his father, and then the death, and then the pieces of music that came out after that. Just
and his relationship too with his girl and
and
then and just everything.
The financial.
The financial stuff
that he went through,
it's all real life shit.
Yeah.
And the guy's performance. I mean, everyone's performance in that movie is amazing. Everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's like top tier.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's a good movie. It's an epic.
But I hate being.
Remember having it in 2 VHSs? It didn't fit in one.
I never had it on the VHS. I only had it on DVD.
Had it in 2 VHSs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, it was a beautiful movie. Yeah.
But I really can't say a favorite movie. There's too many.
Yeah, it's too hard.
It's too many.
Yeah.
I love There Will Be Blood, like I was telling you before.
That's right,
Chinatown.
There Will Be Blood.
Chinatown. And for comedies, Bad Santa.
Yeah.
It's just so raunchy. It's such a good performance by everybody.
Do you have a favorite Kubrick?
My favorite Stanley Kubrick movie would be probably Clockwork Orange, right?
Yeah. Clockwork Orange was my introduction, but I really liked Barry Lyndon. Because at that time when I saw it, when I started watching Kubrick, I was reading a lot of novels.
Yeah.
And Barry Lyndon, the film itself, reads like a novel as you're watching it. It goes through like the guy's entire life of being poor, getting rich, and then coming back to being poor. So it's like a full circle.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I also like Eyes Wide Shut.
By that time, I don't think I was like really blown away by Eyes Wide Shut, but in retrospect, when you rewatch these movies, they're perfectly done,
Yeah, and I feel like those kind of movies, you can go back and they change with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's certain movies you watch and you're like, how did I ever like this piece of shit?
I tell people, like, you should rewatch movies and reread novels every 10 years because you've changed so much that you look
they change with you. You look from a different
things.
Yes.
Yeah, you look at different things when you're watching it. But
they still stay, but they stay good.
They stand, stand, and they're
time.
fucking beautiful fucking movies.
Yeah, I feel like film is like the ultimate form of art because it just encompasses all the art forms, And it's such a collaborative art form where it takes no one person can make it.
No.
And
even if it is one person, it goes through a series of like an idea that's written in a certain way, and then you shoot it. But when you're shooting it, all those things that you wrote get shot a little differently because of the circumstances of the place that you're at. And time and all that. And then when you have all the little cuts and you go into the editing bay, that's what they call the last rewrite. Because as you're editing, you can move things around. You could put this before that or just shorten something a little bit, and it really does the last final rewrite until you finally burn it, Yeah, so that's
I love like editing things, well, I don't do it. I haven't done it in a long time, but when I used to have the editing bay there at the school and edit videos, it was just so much fun.
Editing is the best part.
It's like drawing.
Yeah.
I get the same pleasure from editing as I got from like drawing or painting,
Yeah, I mean, some people will be like, oh my God, like you had to look through all that. But when you're actually there and you're going cut by cut and you're like not worried about the 50,000 cuts that are going after or the 50,000 cuts that are before it, and you're just on that one cut, that's like when you're drawing a line, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to get that line from this point to this point. And I have to do it right. So that's the same thing with that cut. You're not worried about anything before it. You're worried about that little moment and how it closes and how it connects to the scene before it and all that.
Totally. And it's a trip too, like where you make your cut how much that cut can affect what came before it.
Yeah.
Where if you changed it, it would change what came before it.
And there's
alters it.
There's little moments at the end of like certain scenes where like an actor will just look up. And if you cut it before he looks, it has a whole different vibe than if you cut it that half a second after where they just look up.
Totally. Or how long you choose to hold the shot.
Yeah.
You know?
I love all that stuff.
I love it. I love it with the passion. I got to get back to it somehow.
Well, we're definitely going to
call it another hour?
Wind down here.
You're like, damn, this dude doesn't let me go.
No, this is good. I've never done one this long. Actually, I did do one more this long. This is an hour, 40 minutes. So, yeah.
I'm very competitive. Yeah. So I like to go further.
All right, then go for it.
All
right, let's
just keep going until we pass that last one.
Let's go to 2 hours. Okay,
let's do it.
All right, go for it.
Okay,
we have 15
Cheers.
minutes. Salud.
Okay, salud. Think. Yeah, it's a pleasure talking to you, you know?
Likewise, bro. I mean, since I met you that one night, thanks to Manuel, we came out to this party out where Emitra's house, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That was the night I met you, but we didn't really talk. But when I came to your house...
I thought you were Persian when I first met you.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get Persian, I get Arab, I get different... I've even gotten Greek before. But when I came to your house, after that day, I started looking through your Instagram, started seeing the stuff you post, and then I did, let me look him up. I looked you up and started seeing your art. And there's something about everything that you do that has because I didn't go to art school, so I don't have all the words always to to explain things. But everything has like a fully completed feeling to it. Like even it's something that I also say about Manuel's work. It doesn't matter like what he does.
I love his work. I'm a big fan.
Whatever you guys do just feels complete. You know what I mean? There's
nice. Thank you.
It never feels like it's missing anything. It never feels like, even though you're doing this in black and white, it never feels like it needs color, or you're not drawing the whole body, but it still feels complete. Something about your work feels 100% like well thought and done and strong. Too like your lines are these really thin lines, but they feel confident and like.
I think that comes with maturity and also just like working at it day and day and day, grinding away at it, and also consciously trying to portray that, trying to portray a certain amount of strength and a storytelling,
confidence,
narrative, and confidence.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I said, like, this is what I'm all in. This is all my passion. Yeah. This is all my heart, There's no art without heart, and my heart is fully in it.
Yeah.
I get into like a meditative thing when I work on artwork where time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's a trip. It's such a cool thing, It's a trip. It's like being on drugs, Yeah. Like you hear people going to ayahuasca, go on a painting, go on a drawing. They'll take you to places.
Have you ever felt the feeling that you're not controlling it and it's just flowing through you?
Yeah. I feel like I'm an antenna. Yeah. And if I don't tune into it, someone else will.
Yeah.
And someone else can put it out too.
Yeah. So do you believe in that? So, because I felt that before in writing. I was writing at one point and I remember feeling like, thinking in my own head, like, wow, I'm writing this without even...
Oh yeah, that character takes over.
Yeah, this is something else being written, and I'm like, I'm observing my hand write this, like without even, it's just like, what is controlling this, and it was just going, and I think about David Lynch and his big idea, big fish, theory, where he's like, ideas are just floating. Nice. And sometimes it's like
you got to grab them.
No, it's like fishing, right? So you might catch a little fish and be like, oh, well, that idea is not ready yet. Let's put him back. You know?
I love that analogy.
You have this big idea and you hook onto it and you can't let go, or it can't let go of you, and you're both stuck. Yes. And there's this battle of reeling in that idea and trying to control it and trying to understand it, I guess, at the same time. And so there's that battle, and then you finally catch these big ideas and you can celebrate and you can, show it off and you can share it and all that. Yeah. Totally.
And I feel like you could be trying, like sometimes I think like I come up with like an idea or like an idea for my next art project, and like I really want to do that, right? Yeah. Then something just comes along naturally or organically and I can't control it, but that thing just pushes my little plans to the side, you know. I just go with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like, I have no control over this. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm the one doing this, but like, this is saying, nah, it's time to do this now, you know?
I like to compare that to like when I had, because I was doing graphic design for a while, and I'd have like work to do, and I'd have like a lot of work to do from paid customers. But then like a friend would call and be like, hey, can you make me a flyer? So like the idea of just doing something freely, you know, without any like boundaries of, you know, what this thing has to be or look like, and just like that feeling of like jumping on that, even though you're like at a deadline and you've been already procrastinating, and you're like, okay, this is gonna give me even less time to finish the paid project, but somehow that fucking thing just wins you over. Like you said, you can't deny it, you can't let it go, and you have to like do that before you can actually get back to the work.
Yeah, it takes over. It's like the next thing that I'm doing after these. Like, I didn't know when I started these that there were going to be this many of them. Yeah. Or that I'd be doing them for 5 years or doing them during a pandemic. I didn't know. Yeah. But I felt like this had to come out of me, you know? And now I didn't know when it was going to end. Like, I was like, oh, I had these ideas. Oh, now I'll do all the colors, or I'll do, you know, I'm going to go to this or that. But then something else just came along where it's similar to this, but totally different. And, you know, it just happened, you know, it's weird. But I think it's good just to, in life, I don't know. Maybe it's not good. I don't know. Well, there's a saying. I like this saying where it says, life is what happens to you when you're making plans or something. How does it go?
That's it. Life is what happens to you when you're busy making plans.
For something else.
You're busy making plans to do something, but then
there's life. Yeah. Yeah. So I let that happen to me with my artwork.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. And you work in here in this garage, right?
I work in here, and I also work in the front room. The front room of our house, the living room. I like to work on the full floor. I don't have a table or a desk or an easel. I like to lay down on a pillow, put my arms like down the pillow, and I like to draw like that. And I like to get really super close. Yeah.
How's that as you're getting older?
Well, you know, I've been drinking a lot of carrot juice because I heard it was good for your eyes, and so I just recently got a new prescription of glasses. And when my eyes got messed up as a kid, and they said you messed up your eyes because you're looking at something too close, and so I messed up my eyes, right? But they haven't changed; it haven't gotten worse. Like when I was 20, then I'd get my glasses. When I'm 25, they got worse. 25 to 30, have to get stronger glasses. You know, up until 50. Then they said that it's stabilized now. It's not getting any worse. So I can't see far, so I take these off. When I draw close, I can see fine.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I can see close. I just can't see far.
Oh, okay.
But by looking too closely, I'm messing up my eyes. But now I'm trying to drink a lot of carrot juice. Yeah. I don't know if it's a myth, or maybe if you believe something, even if it's not real, because your body, you can heal yourself, you know? Effect. Yeah, that kind of thing. I don't know.
I've heard it's also good for the eyes, so...
yeah.
We'll see.
And I always talk to the eye doctor and tell him that I'm drinking the carrot juice. He's like, it could help. Like, yeah, it could be. Like, you know, he's like trying to give you any like, oh, that's it.
Well, any doctor will not confirm anything that has to do with vitamins and, you know, that kind of stuff, because they can't. They can't say that, oh, yeah, that's what's working, because they have to sell you pills.
Exactly. They have to sell you glasses.
They have to sell you glasses, What a trip.
Yeah, so I like getting really close, like when I'm painting, and see the texture, and like I like to, like when I put the paint on the brush, I put it on really thick, and like I said, like when I first do my first line, it's kind of sloppy actually, but and it breaks off into these, you know, this will like break off into the other lines and stuff, but then I come back with white paint and clean it up.
Do you ever use whiteout?
I use whiteout.
Yeah,
I've used whiteout on things. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then I realized, oh, this paint that I use. I just use this paint. It works just like white. It's a whiteout, you know. Like when I do a drawing, like sometimes I do a pen and ink drawing. Yeah. I'll mess up. I'll have an accident or something. Like sometimes I fall asleep drawing. Yeah. And I go, just do the line across, you know, because I slip. Yeah. So then I will cover that line up with whiteout. With our paint, white paint. Yeah.
So do you do it now that you're like? I want to jump back into like you reading and all that. And then you shared with me a book today that I'm taking home, Octavio Paz, And I wonder if you also read a lot of poetry or like get into stuff like that.
I don't really read poetry. I like to write poetry, and a lot of my earlier works, I did a lot of writing in there. I like to express myself through writing, and I wrote like a short story, and I'll show you later if you want to check it out. I wrote a short story. It's 100 pages long, but it's 100 book covers long because I wrote it on book covers. Yeah. And then I did an illustration for each written page. One illustration that is the illustration comes from something on that page. Wow. You know, some sentence or some paragraph on that page, and it's like a little story. So
do you have that like in a binder? Like
I have it in like a book.
Oh, okay.
Like a book format.
It's an art.
Well, it's not a book. It's like, you know, it's like one of those plastic things. You slide the picture in just to keep it. I take Xeroxes of the actual work. Yeah. Sorry, hit the mic again.
That's cool. Oh, that's pretty badass. Yeah.
So it's fun, yeah.
That's 100 pages?
Yeah, because when I was a kid, El Sereno Elementary School, they would have you write books and illustrate books. When I was a kid, I was more interested in making a fake story than illustrating. So I have some of these books that I kept from when I was a kid. Wow. And it says, you know, story by Albert Reyes, illustrated by
Albert Reyes.
Someone else. No, I had someone else illustrate it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't care about the drawings. I wanted to write the story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to spell, so I would just tell the teacher. Yeah. And then she would write it down, and then I would have to copy it.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how that worked.
Wow.
But I made a story, and so what happens is they have a contest they used to have it, you know, this is back in the 70s. If you write a story and they like it, then they'll keep it in the library. So it makes you feel really good, you know?
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So I wrote one that was called The Night After Halloween, or The Night Before Halloween. I didn't win. And then the other one I did was I wrote a story called The Haunted Arcade. And it was like, you know, like when those asteroids, Pac-Man, Frogger, and all that. Yeah. So that one I did illustrate. And so the Frogger, these kids break into an abandoned arcade, and the games are haunted because, you know, they're haunted.
No need to explain.
Yeah. And so the Frogger would come out and eat people. The Pac-Man would come out and chase people, the ghost and all that. And so that was fun. And it won the contest. And then I came out in the El Sereno newspaper. Oh, wow. Young author receives a award.
What?
And it's kind of ironic because, like, I don't know how to read or write,
crazy.
Right? So maybe when I was 50, I was thinking, like, what am I going to do? You know, what am I doing with my life, you know? What do I really love? What do I really like? And I'm really into movies and storytelling. And so I was like, I found that little newspaper clipping. My mom saved it, you know, because it was like a big deal for our families and whatever. And so I had it. And then I looked at it, and then I was like, try to honor that little child, you know, that little child that's inside of us, you know? Yeah. And I was like, I still do love doing that, but I haven't done it, you know, since I was like 8 years old or 11 years old. Yeah. You know, I haven't done it since I was 11 years old. So then I just decided to write a story. Wow. And that shit took forever. 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, because wow. Because I still do have problems with spelling and writing. And as a kid, I was like, I wish there's a computer or a device that I could talk to one day in the future and it would correct the spelling. Well, now there is the iPhone. Wow. You know? So I would go like to email my wife or my brother, and I would just tell the story into it, and then I would read it and then copy it. Wow. But where my problem is still with spelling is even when I write my own name, I could leave out a letter or put a letter before or after a letter, you know, stuff like that.
So it still happens.
Yeah. Still happens, yeah. And so it was a real struggle to do it, but then I did it, and it felt great.
How did you teach yourself to read? You said you taught yourself to read.
Yeah.
In your 30s.
Just looking at things and figuring it out. Yeah. Just forcing it. Yeah.
Wow. Dude, that's crazy. That's part of like, it's such a deep part of you to have like gone through that and lived your life that way. I don't have any like words for like how that must have been for you or it's just something like.
It was just awful. It was just really embarrassing. Yeah. But like so embarrassed that I will fight an adult. I will break out of a building to not have to show that I don't know how to do that thing, you know?
It's just something that goes like like you could say like, oh, when I was when I was little, like I lost both parents, and so I lived this horrible thing, and people are like, oh, but like to say this, to say it's still something that's deep, and it's it's what I'm trying to say is that it had to be something that you carried for so many years that you can't even talk about it. You can't even really like share with people.
Oh yeah, I never really talked about it until recently.
Yeah, it's got to be something that's just, it's traumatic in a different way is what I'm saying. So you carried this trauma with you for so many years that is part of what made you, and like, it's a trip that you still ended up like writing and you still ended up yeah. So it's just, it's another,
And that's how when I would do my poetry or whatever, like call it poetry, or when I would write on my drawings, is I would like lift lines from things that I've seen or from movies or from magazines. The same way I lift images, I would take that sentence but then make it my own.
Because you knew that you knew how to write it.
And it was correct. It was correct. So I would just copy it like I was copying a face or something. You know what I mean?
What a trip. Well,
I think doing that a lot too helped me to read. Yeah. I mean, how to spell and read. Yeah.
Seeing it. Yeah. We're gonna have to end now because we've run out of memory on the recorder.
Oh, we were still going. I didn't even know.
Oh no, this is still going.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But I
let my guard down.
No, it's perfect. We have a question that we ask everybody, at the end of each show.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you've watched this show.
So I'm prepared for this. It's kind of it's not going to be natural, as I've been waiting to say this.
Let's just ask it.
Okay.
Albert Reyes, how do you do it?
With patience and determination.
Boom. With patience and determination.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. Thank you very much, man. Really appreciate you inviting us into your home.
Hey, thanks for coming out here, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been a lot of fun and getting to know you. Yep.
Gracias.
Cool. And let's continue a friendship. Let's have a friendship.
And we'll see you guys next week.